Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for November 22nd through the 28th, 2021. So, as we begin, I'd like to welcome everyone back this week and to also welcome anyone who's new to the Angel School community. In the States, it is a holiday weekend coming up. So we have Thanksgiving here, and so just like to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. Also, I will be away part of the week, obviously the for Thanksgiving and the weekend. So I'm going to still be offering any angel readings that I already have set up for the first part of the week, but otherwise I'll be taking readings after the weekend. So in this case, my special offer, Angel Reading, is still available. I mean, you can purchase it in November for December if you like. And it's my half-hour reading for $77. I've extended it for 1 full hour since the pandemic. And to sign up for that, you would just go to my webpage, theangelschool.com/services page. And there's a link in the description area below this video. So you can go right directly there, and where you can go directly there. And when you get to the page, you would just select the half-hour reading as it's printed there. And within 24 hours on the first business day, I will send you a confirmation email, in which case this time it'll be after the holidays, but I'll send you a confirmation email within 24 hours of the first business day or after the holiday. Okay, so let's see, and it's most likely that this will also be continuing for the month of December as well. Okay, so let's take a moment to take a deep breath and to center and just really center in your heart space. And really pay attention to your body and any of your emotions. And they're, for some reason, writing the word lack. So they want you to pay attention to this over the week. I guess because, holidays do make us focus on lack. It's unfortunate that whenever we gather, and it's just not about family, but it's when we gather around people, we feel like we have to prove ourselves in some way, right? It's we because they're showing the word lack, and it gives me a feeling that we look for validation, or we look for validation, or we feel that we have to validate ourselves. Even if when we're successful, we still sometimes feel like we need to validate our worth by either, and it creates uncomfortability sometimes on either side of that. If you feel like your circumstances are challenging for you, and you don't want to really focus on that, and sometimes you might isolate yourself and not really participate in crowds or group gatherings or special occasions because of it. So the angels really want you right now and throughout this week, they want you to really focus in on your heart center. And they really want you to focus in on the enormous and tremendous amount of love that is present within yourself. This worth, this priceless aspect of your soul that's just infinite in its being cannot be evaluated or measured in these terms that we often utilize in our lives in terms of comparisons. And so instead of getting stuck in comparisons and that energy, focus in on the love within your heart. And let that love become a point of attraction for your gratitude. Let it become a measurement, your ability to love, and all the things that you happen to do, sometimes not intentionally, and especially that which you don't intend to do, that is a tremendous gift to the world, to the light of the world. It's so important. The goodness that doesn't cost you anything. And the writing professional, as in, there's also the goodness of this nature that we can do even in our professional lives. It doesn't cost us anything. We may not get rewarded for it or maybe even acknowledged for it, but you do it because it is, or to be sort of, it's out of the goodness of your heart, that expression, right? But it comes from the goodness of your heart because your heart is good. All of your talents come from that goodness within you. And that goodness it's not seeking rewards. It's offering them. And in so doing, you attract that back to yourself because the offering and the focus creates a magnetic attraction around it. So you don't have to worry about how to receive. Meaning you don't have to worry about what you're going to get, how you're going to be compensated. What you have to focus on or pay attention to is when opportunities come your way that may not seem like it's the compensation for some goodness you did, but it's something that you deserve, and being able to embrace it or accept it when the goodness comes is really key. Because when the goodness comes back to you, those are the forms of support that you require or have requested from the universe. And it's coming to help anchor you in more of that goodness of yourself. So when you offer it, what you get back, oftentimes you can't, because of the way we measure in terms of comparison, oftentimes you don't realize you deserve that goodness, that opportunity, because you can't imagine how grand your goodness truly is. And so when an opportunity comes back in such a grand way, you might try to avoid it or deny it because you don't think that you're ready for it. So what they're trying to get you to understand is that oftentimes what you think you deserve is way beneath what you actually have done. You don't understand the full measure of your love. And so you're often undercutting yourself. And so that when opportunities come, you're afraid of them, or you can't make a decision, which is just another way of saying you're not afraid of it. Because somebody's probably saying, well, I'm not afraid. I'm open to it. But there are ways, there are behaviors that are an example of that, just another facet of really being afraid, because you don't know the value of your heart, of your goodness. And it is true when you find yourself, isolating because you don't want to deal with the pressure of being measured. But they're not measuring you. You're measuring yourself, meaning you're judging yourself. And when it triggers you, the judgment or opinions that they put out there, or if they say things in a certain way to make it feel, that's because you're seeing it through the lens of not knowing the measure of your goodness and the contributions that is making to the world. Your light is adding to the world. It's upholding. And you may say, well, there's so much wrong with the world. And you might say, well, it's fragile. Our world is fragile. But your goodness is the power. Everyone's goodness is the power that's holding that up. And though we all may perceive it as fragile, it never seems to truly dismantle under all of that negative pressure. It still remains. Just like you. No matter what you're going through, no matter how fragile you may feel inside, how vulnerable you may feel, to the point that you feel like you almost get to the point of breaking, but you don't. And then even when you think you have been broken, your strength is still carrying you. And it's the goodness within you. And this cannot be devalued in any way, shape, or form, except by the one that it's coming from, that is to say, you. So focus in on the goodness in your heart. Focus on where you're not intentional in offering your goodness, and the things that you do that go unrecognized by you. And let that love, that signature of love, envelop you. So they're showing me a chair, and when they usually show me a chair, of course now there's a little genie bottle there. That's interesting. And some pets are coming on top. So let's see what all this means. And then they're writing the word peace. So chairs for me are my symbol for reflection, okay? They're also showing me a bed, so also get some rest, get plenty of rest. When you have time off, make sure you have time to rest. So even if you're gonna have a busy day, then sleep longer, sleep early, go to bed at a decent time, sleep longer, and then have a nice, full, robust day of enjoyment and pleasure, okay, and leisure. But they want you to reflect, and they want you to reflect on, I guess the genie bottle is about a wish. Reflect on your wishes. Reflect on the desires of your heart, because you got to remember, your heart is already wishing for you. So all you have to do, and it's wishing based on what you need and what your purpose is centered around, and the things that you deserve. It's wishing for the goodness the goodness that you um, that it wants to attract for you because you deserve it. Okay, and it was like a little white dog. So for me, like loyalty, dogs represent that loyalty, and it's dog is sort of looking at the genie bottle. So you have to be loyal to your own wishes, to your own desires. So take some time to not just to make wishes, but to get in alignment in tune with the wishes, the desires of your soul. Be aware of what it is your heart is really seeking. What is the essence of the feelings that you're feeling when it comes to the desire. So if you were to set and have an intention to sit and just be aware of what is at this moment where you are in this point in time in your life, what is the desire that your heart is most resonating with at this time, and just listen. Just set the intention to be aware, because for some of you it may be difficult to just sit and listen. But as you're doing something and you have this intention and you keep it in awareness of it, it will come to you. I did this the other day and it was very revealing for me. And sometimes even the disturbing feelings like that might be bothering you and you're wanting some kind of answer, if you sit there and you really ask in that storm, when you sit and you try to understand the intention or the desire of the soul, it's like going into the eye of that storm where all the clarity and all the peace, the understanding is already there for you. So sit in the essence of that and try to understand what your heart desires so that you can align with that truth. Instead of constantly being in a mode of lack or desperation where you're what is that expression? Like you're just sort of grabbing at straws or something like that. It's like you're and when you do that, what you're saying is, I'm so limited, I have to take what the outer reality is throwing at me, instead of tapping into the infinite and of possibilities and aligning with the wholeness that comes from your inner being's awareness. It doesn't offer you lack, it offers you wholeness. And when you keep reaching or grabbing for straws with the ego, you're still grabbing. Those straws are temporary. They're not sustainable fulfillment. So keep that in mind. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the Archangel that we'll be working with for this week. And perfect advice, Archangel Raphael, the Archangel of healing. And the card says, breathe. Breathe. Okay? And the message on the card says, take several deep breaths and exhale slowly to awaken your energy and to release old patterns. So when people tell you to breathe, especially if something's upsetting you, it's to revitalize your energy, revitalize all of your spiritual bodies, your emotional body, your physical body, your mental body especially, and your spiritual body, to reinvigorate it with clarity, with fresh perspective, with healing, and then to release that old pattern, that thing, that energy that is coming up, not because it's been sitting around stuck inside of you, poisoning your life. You have to understand that your mind is multidimensional, and that your mind, whether you're paying attention to something or not, is focused on things that even if you were 100% presently focused, there are things that in your present awareness of things that are going on around you that your mind is recording, but your conscious mind is not aware of. Your subconscious is, but the conscious mind is not aware of it. And so the past does not haunt you. You are subconsciously focused, not letting go of a thing. It's like having all these plates spinning that you just don't realize. You keep the plate spinning. There's no force outside of you, or no force within you that desires to keep those plates spinning that are profoundly triggering, that are off-putting, upsetting to you. You are giving it some facet of your conscious, whether it's subconscious or conscious, attention. When you recognize it in the moment. So that is why when you get ready to go somewhere, or you know you're going to do something, that's when those things start to surface. They don't happen on their own. They happen because you have a mental, let's say, what is the word that we're looking for? You have a mental perspective around every situation that's a part of your life. So let's say it's family. So your family wounds, the things that have happened to you in the past, they're not walking around with you. As soon as you hear family gathering as an example, then you allow yourself to recreate that belief pattern around being and having to deal with your family. And then you now revitalize all of the triggers. They are summoned by you, not from some deep, dark past part of yourself or some forces outside of yourself. They are triggered by you in your belief that you have not tried to readdress in terms of how you are willing to perceive the situation. And so they ask you to breathe so that you can draw in the forces within yourself and the forces of love within the universe, the goodness within you, to revitalize this pattern, this thought process that you have around this particular or any particular circumstance or situation. When you breathe, you remind yourself that you have the power to change that pattern. And that's the word that's showing right in front of my face. That you have, and they're saying, they're writing energy and pattern. Like if you take that breath, you remind yourself that you have the power not only to change that pattern, but you also have the power to bring a certain kind of energy to that circumstance that you're now thinking about. So you can bring a whole new energy. You can shift the reality of how it feels for you. And that can only happen if you let go of the comparison, the way you measure your own worth. And if you tap into the goodness of your heart, the unintentional ways that your goodness unfolds for you and in the lives of others, you will see this is transformative within itself, because that love shows you the network of your heart. It shows you the network of the universe, which is the network that is within every spiritual being on the planet. Every human being on the planet has this same network, the same platform they're writing. Because we're human, we have the ability to choose whether we regard this platform or disregard it within a particular moment when we think about that circumstance. So remember, you have the power, Archangel Raphael is saying, with that breath. And you can preset for this week that every time you breathe, you are reminded that you have the ability to change the energy and the pattern around this thought process, around, for example, families. You have the ability to see your family as love, or your loved ones or your friends as loving souls. You have the ability to see them as goodness or not. You can judge them, but know that you will judge yourself by those same measurements. So this is why they ask you, the sages throughout time and the ascended masters throughout time, that ask you not to judge, lest you be judged by your own judgment. You live by what you put out there. So remove this for your own sake. Don't allow yourself to judge people based on their past actions. And don't judge them in the moment of their actions, present actions. Because now you see that they may not have the awareness to hear what we've just said to you, and to take that breath and know that they have the power to re-energize at this pattern, these triggers, but you do. And one of my great things I always tell people, just change the subject. Talk about something that you and they find peace and happiness and enjoyment. Just change the subject every time. They will soon get it. But the work, the work is here for you, because if you can stand in your power, if you can sustain your power of intention, if you want peace or freedom, and you can sustain that in the face of what seems to be outside opposition, remember, the only relationship you're having is the relationship you're having with yourself. The way that they are coming across to you is because of the lack of attention that you give to your own value, your own spiritual value. And by law of attraction, no one can react differently. No one can treat you differently than you treat yourself. Even if you say to yourself, I don't do that, I don't say, but inside, subconsciously, you have those thoughts. You may have stuffed them down or tried to not ignore them, but you have them, and you have to release them. You have to keep practicing every day, focusing in on your goodness till you feel overwhelmed by it, as if it is washing over you and washing and clearing out those negative patterns. All right, so let's take a look at the card for the beginning of the week. And we have the Sun card. Look at this beautiful energy, this burst, right? And it just gives us this sense of power, this card here, where the energy is just blazing through her. And it's the same idea. In this week, you have the power. You can blaze the love. You can blaze the goodness. And you can outshine what you might call the shadows or the darkness. But you can't do that if you are so focused in fear or worried about the darkness overshadowing you. Once you do that, you diminish your light. And this is what we mean by you don't give enough attention to your inner light, to your inner being, to that goodness within you. You have to feed that relationship continuously. And you have to get well practiced at it so that it just is. Now, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever had this conversation, even with myself. So this is something for me to think about as well. So that means this week may not be the perfect, you're not going to get it all right, but you're going to try your best to divert your attention away from all that outer comparison and focus on the measurement of love, goodness within yourself. All right, let's take a look at the next card. So it's the Hangman, okay? And this just tells me, in a way, that, I don't know why I'm feeling this way right now, but I wanted to say, like, every card that's here is going to go through the Hangman, because it's almost a sense of that in this sense, the Hangman is about this inner work, this inner reflection. And, you know, he's hanging there, everything is out of his control, and he can't get down. He won't find a way to get himself out of this until he stops blaming everything around him. So he stops cursing this and cursing that. You know, for whatever got him in that position, he's probably blaming the people who put him there or who accused him wrongly, blah, 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 and not thinking about his own actions. And imagine that in a world where everyone was high vibration, like in the age of gold of Atlantis, where everybody's frequency was high and loving and pure. And so that what the Hangman here could have done, at the very least, is just forget that he was a part of all of that love. Maybe he just had a negative thought, that he wasn't good enough for a moment. And so they put him up there to help him to get over this feeling of defeat, because it would bring everybody else down. Because that's the kind of power we have. We can bring our whole entire world down. We can influence others, but we really bring ourselves down. And so he's hanging there until he realizes what he did. That he's just stopped, he took his attention off of the goodness, the pattern of love within him, and he placed it on something else, fear, lack. So this is what I'm getting at. Like, it's another way to look at reversals as just not flipping the energy upside down, but to turn the energy from the outside inward. And now say, like, Sun card, I need to, instead of trying to be successful and going out and doing this and that and charging at things, I need to turn that lens of success, of light within myself, and boost myself, heal myself, hold myself up. And that's what I'm sort of getting from this week. Whoa, now look at this. The Strength card, reversed. Oh my goodness. Does this mean now that the strength reverse gets reversed again and is then back right side up. Um, this is something that's coming to my mind, that when the hangman appears, maybe all the cards around it are really to be read as some kind of internal work that needs to be done, that needs to be flipped. Um, so, strength. And I think what's interesting about this is because when we think of strength, we think of aggression, right? We think of aggression. We think of that when I stand up for myself, I gotta put somebody else down. That I gotta like stamp them out. I gotta, like lock that down, or I gotta shut that down, kind of thing, right? If somebody says something to me, I'm gonna shut them down. No, that's not real power. Real power is love. And the first thing you got to do is align with your own love, meaning align with that goodness within you. Love yourself. Because when you do that, you're loving yourself because you're focusing on the goodness within you. You boost yourself by recognizing the unrecognizable goodness that you offer and you contribute just by being you and by being here and by being available when you're needed. And this is a card also of peace where the lamb, I look at it like the lamb and the lion laying down together, right? This is a card about compromise. This is a card about coming together on common grounds. So this is encouraging you that you can do it, that this is the real strength. Now, if you set the value of your love at this kind of harmony between two forces that seemingly just don't match or can't work out, but through compassion for yourself first, you find that. Because it has to be important to you, your own, the care of yourself, your own self-care, your own well-being has to be more important to you than winning a fight. You want to win on the battlefield of love, not of fear, because everybody loses. Even if you are the aggressor and your energy overcomes the other, you will still feel bad. Think about it. You got this family member, this friend who always says the thing that ticks you off, but you've always known something because you're so kind and you don't say a word about it. But then this one day you decide, I can't win, but I have this thing from the past. I'm going to bring it up and put him down. And then flat on his face, he's done. But you, because of who you are, because you are innately good and in tune with that good, and that's the only difference between you and the goodness in that other person, it's because you're always in tune with it. You will feel the impact of what you did. You will feel god awful about it because you gave in to not valuing the goodness within yourself and within others. You gave in to the lack that if anybody for a moment, let's say, makes you feel bad about yourself, but we know that's not what's really happening. If you give in to that, then you've also given into the fact that you don't feel that way about yourself. So this is about real respect. True respect is honoring yourself first and then not allowing yourself to be triggered so that you dishonor someone else and you dishonor your true values. spiritual values or understanding that we're talking about here. Okay, let's take a look and see, because oh my God, we have all major arcana cards. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. So, and I just said that, yeah, it's crazy. So we have the Star card, and we're back at that wish, right? First, this card tells you, and we got the Sun card and Star card. This card tells you everything is going to be okay, ultimately. Everything's going to be okay, and everything's going to work out. Even if there are hiccups, even if there are moments that you're going to regret, even if there are moments, even if you feel like it, that you made compromises that you didn't want to make, but in the end, everything is going to be okay. And they want to remind you with this card to tune in to your heart's desire. Take that deep breath, refresh, clear, and then ask your heart, what do you desire? What is the path forward through this situation for me that is most healing? First yourself, always, just like on the airplane, give yourself the oxygen first, then you give oxygen to everybody else. So ask what's best for you. What's the best healing solution for yourself overall? Not to win any points. Don't ask for that, because the universe will not do that for you. But for the overall picture, feel the difference about that? What is the most healing solution for me for this situation overall? So this seems very personal, but it's with the major all these major arcana cards, it's also saying this is something that's been looming over your whole life. This is something that's just been determining, and how you behave and the quality of life that you experience. And there's a potential in this week to heal, to shift the quality of your life overall. So although it feels personal, it's not. Focus on the bigger picture. Focus on the bigger picture here, because this is going to be monumental in terms of your ability to sustain higher frequencies of light, which will attract higher frequencies of outcomes and experiences for you. So this is really a quality of life change. And key to all this is the manifestations that you will experience. It will be an incredible and enormous blessing to you to heal this, to let go of patterns, to refresh your beliefs and how you see things. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a beautiful week. God bless you.